Hi, welcome to 10 Minute Violin. We're so glad to have you join us here today. I'm Miguel Ramirez, and this is the live stream training session for the 10-minute practice video titled Violin Bow Hold. I want to make sure everyone has a good understanding of our format here at 10 Minute Violin. First of all, I want to clarify that this session here is not the 10-minute practice video itself, but this is the training session where we'll explain in detail how to best approach the material presented in our Violin Bow Hold 10-minute practice video. So it's important to watch this training session at least once before following along with the 10-minute practice video so you can optimize your time spent with it. There'll also be a question and answer time at the end of this training session for those of you who are tuning in live, and the separate 10-minute practice video will be available on our YouTube channel directly following this session. So an easy way to think about it is if you view this live stream training session as your lecture or your class, and the separate 10-minute practice video as your lab or your homework. At this time, I'd like to introduce my brother and co-host of 10 Minute Violin, John Ramirez.
Hello, everyone. This is our second stream, a live stream, and we're excited to be doing this. I'm going to be basically manning the cameras and sound and graphics. But as we progress into our streams, we'll be getting somebody else involved, so that way I can be up on the front of the camera with Miguel. But for now, this is what we're going to be doing, so I'm going to pass you back over to Miguel.
Okay, we would like to invite people to say hi, and you could tell us what your name is, where you're from, and we can say hi to you through the chat. What we're going to do today is we're going to slow down a little from last week and zoom in on the details of bow hold. So this week's 10-minute practice video will focus on exercises that'll get you more comfortable with both your accuracy and your flexibility in your bow hold. We hope this information will be valuable for you, no matter what level you're at in the violin, and also be helpful for those of you who are viola students. Do we have anybody saying hi?
We have several viewers.
Okay.
We do have several viewers, but nobody has said hi on the chat yet. But
okay.
We can always do that at the end.
We'll do it at the end. So you can submit your questions in the chat at any time during the training session, and we'll get to as many as we can before we finish covering all the material, actually after we finish covering all the material. There's about a 15-second delay between broadcasting live in our studio and when you receive it at home. So try to submit your questions into the chat before the end of the crab crawl section of the training to make sure we see them. And the last few things before we dive into the material, follow the links below if you'd like to book a private lesson with me or John. And if you find our content helpful to you, I'd like to remind you to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every time we release a new video, like and share with your friends. Okay, so the first exercise you'll see in the 10-minute practice video is the pronation and supination with and without the table. Although this is not working directly on the bow hold itself, it's an extremely important motion of the right forearm that we didn't cover last week. And this will work hand in hand with the bow hold exercises we'll be doing today. So to introduce the motion, we'll first define the words pronation and supination while we look at an image of those two positions. So looking at the image on the left side, that shows pronation. It's labeled there. This is when the palm is facing down and the radius bone, which is the bone that ends on the thumb side of the hand. And do we still have that image up there? Okay, all right, there it is. So the radius bone, which ends on the thumb side of the hand, is crossed over the ulna bone, which ends at the pinky side of the hand. So this is the most natural position of the forearm. The image on the right side shows supination, and that's when the palm is facing up and the two bones of the forearm are side by side. That's if you notice, they look parallel with each other, right? So the exercise here is to put your forearm in the prone position on the table with the palm facing down and rotate it back and forth to the supine position, palm facing up. And so I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I have my table here, and I'm starting in the prone position here. And like the image, my radius is actually crossing over the ulna here in the forearm. So,
Talk louder.
oh, talk louder. Sorry. Yeah, I got to make sure I'm not quite by the microphone, so I got to make sure I'm talking loud enough here. So, so this is the prone position, and we're going to do a supination, and we're just going to rotate it with the palm facing up. So one important thing to note is that the radius bone, which ends on the thumb side of the hand, is the one that's crossing back and forth over the ulna bone, which ends at the pinky side of the hand. And the radius is doing most of the movement, while the ulna simply rolls back and forth in place. So the radius is actually the one doing this motion of crossing over and going side by side with the ulna. The ulna is on the pinky side again, and that's just, if you notice, that's just rolling across the table. Okay, so that's that exercise. We're going to do the same thing in the air now without the table. So we're just going to do that same exercise. And the biggest difference here is that when you pronate, the table isn't there anymore to block the motion of the radius. So your thumb actually can go a little further. It can go through the table, so to speak. And so that's an important difference here. The supination remains the same. Okay, so next is the thumb bends exercise. So the thumb bend exercise is so we can further reinforce the shape of the thumb as it contacts the bow, while simultaneously reinforcing the feeling of where the thumb actually contacts the bow. So what we'll do is we'll simply take the left hand index finger and push the inside corner of the thumb, like that, the inside corner of the tip of the thumb, that is, and release and repeat. And notice that when I do that, when I push that contact point with the thumb, that the thumb just bends. And that's it. Okay, so the next exercise you'll find on the video is the hooked thumb bow lifts. This exercise is actually a repeat from last week, if you remember. It's such a helpful exercise, we decided we should include it again on this video. This time, after doing the thumb bends, you can really make sure that the thumb is actually shaped correctly and really is contacting the bow where we had pushed with the left hand index finger just now. So to recap, last week, the index finger is linked with the thumb of the left hand, linked there with the tip of the bow, and you make sure that the stick of the bow is to your right, and you're holding it about the level of your forehead here, and you're simply taking that same hooked thumb that we just worked on and that contact point, and we're lifting it 90 degrees. And I noticed, I think we had a comment last time, not really, like it wasn't really clear how the thumb was shaped. So now doing that first exercise, if you didn't quite catch it last time, you could see now exactly how the thumb is shaped. It should have that bend in it as you do this exercise. So, so that's just a recap of last week. And I think it's great to include it again in this video. You're going to make sure that you're reinforcing that double again this week. So next is pencil slides on each finger and the thumb. So the next few exercises are to help you memorize the feeling of where the stick of the bow contacts the right hand fingers. And for these exercises, you'll just need a regular pencil. So first we'll take each finger and we'll slide the pencil across the markings where the fingers contact the stick. And so like for the index finger, if you notice that the markings there, we talked about this last week, when I curve that finger, they become like a straight line, and that's how we're going to slide the pencil across the index finger. So it's at an angle there. And so we're reinforcing how it feels, like where are the correct points that your bow should feel in your finger. And the index finger is completely contacting the stick. It's not contacting the frog at all. And now the next one would be the middle finger. Remember that the middle finger, most of the marking on my hand, you notice that it's tracing the frog here. That's the little notch in the frog. And the stick part is only at the very top, but again, it's at an angle there. So we'll slide it across at that same angle. It's really important to slide it at the same angle that the bow would be. Again, there you can see the marking. And this is how I'm sliding the pencil across. Okay. Now we're going to take that ring finger and the same angle. And again, most of that marking is the part that goes in the frog, so we can kind of just ignore that for now and just slide it across the top of the marking, again at that angle, the same angle that it is on the finger. The next one would be the pinky. And again, since the marking again is on the inside corner of that pinky, of the tip of the pinky, so we have the same angle here that we need to slide the pencil across. If you notice, it's kind of almost like if our pinky makes an angle with the bow, it's almost like a 45-degree angle or so right there. Okay, and then the thumb, same thing. As we do this across the thumb, again, it makes an angle there because we're, again, at the inside corner of the tip of the thumb. Inside meaning the corner of the thumb that's closest to the palm of the hand. Okay, so that takes care of that exercise. The next one will be pencil slides on all four fingers. And so for this exercise, we'll pretty much do the same thing, but this time on all four fingers, excluding the thumb. And notice as the pencil slides across all four fingers at the same time, it maintains that same angle we used for each individual finger and ends up sliding down, sliding across the fingers diagonally. So to make sure to get a good look at that here. Hopefully that's clear to everybody. And so notice my thumb is just, I have it kind of tucked in here, but it's not on the pencil itself. The other thing is that the fingers should be slightly spread apart from each other, and with the pinky having just a little bit more space than the other three fingers. But they definitely shouldn't be like this or, too close together like this. Just pretty natural. These three fingers slightly spaced, and then the pinky a little bit further. Not too much. You don't want it like this. Just let it be natural. Notice that the index finger, again, the index finger contacts the stick or the pencil across all the markings on the index finger, but the middle and the ring finger, again, it has only at the top of the markings, while the rest of the markings are reserved for the contact with the frog itself. So obviously the pencil doesn't have a frog, so those markings will be visible for now. So now that we have the pencil in the correct position across all four fingers, we'll go ahead and just keep it there, and we're going to move on to the thumb placement with a still pencil exercise. So holding at the pencil, we have to hold the pencil still at the correct angle across those four fingers. We're going to place the thumb on the pencil directly across from the middle finger at the marking on the inside corner of the tip of the thumb, with the thumb bent as we worked on previously today. So this exercise is kind of like the opposite of the thumb bends exercise that we did earlier. So instead of our index finger coming in and pushing the thumb, now we're putting that contact point of the thumb onto the pencil and directly across from the middle finger. And if you notice on my fingers, it's there. You notice that that frog is outlined there, and it ends up being right across from the end of the frog. So now that we have all 4 fingers and the thumb placed correctly on the bow, or on the pencil actually in this case, pencil, we'll do the pencil slides with the 4 fingers and the thumb exercise. So this is pretty much the same exercise as the pencil slides with 4 fingers, but we're just adding the thumb. And again, you want to double check that your fingers are properly spaced and that your bent thumb, and there on that angle right there, you can see my bent thumb, is contacting the pencil directly across the middle finger as you do this exercise. So, double check all those things. Now that we have a complete bow hold, we'll move on to the pronation and supination with pencil exercise. So keeping that really good bow hold, we're going to repeat that pronation and supination exercise without the table with the pencil in hand. And notice again that on the pronation, you're able to go through the table like that. So you can actually point that pencil down a little bit there. So next we'll see how this motion, you can do that. There we go. So in the pronation, I could go kind of like through the table. If I were on the table, I'd only be able to go about to here, right? So I can do that. Again, supination is the same. Okay, so next we'll see how the motion is able to create some leverage in the pronation with leverage using pencil exercise. So for this exercise, we'll keep our good bow hold on the pencil. That's always important. But at first, we'll lift the pinky and the ring finger off the pencil, leaving only the index, middle, and thumb holding the pencil. So I'll do that again. So I have my good bow hold here, and I lift the pinky off, and I lift the ring finger off. Take your time to do this so you can keep everything in the right place. So now we have these 3 fingers, the thumb, and then the 2 fingers up here. Using these only at first helps getting the feeling of the leverage much easier before we add the other 2 back. So here's how to do the exercise. We're going to hold the left hand vertically with your index finger at the top and pinky on the bottom. So just like that. And we're going to pronate with the left hand index finger giving some resistance to the tip of the pencil. So now here we're pronating here, and now like we're pushing down on the left index finger. So your left hand index finger in this case will represent the string. And this works really well to represent the resistance the string will give the bow, since the left hand in the air will have some resistance, yet it also, if you notice, it has a slight give or flex in it too. It's not like a brick wall there, but I can give it a little bit of resistance this way as I push down. And so I'm doing that pronation, and I'm using leverage to press down. Okay. So now that you have that feeling, you just simply replace the ring finger and the pinky, and you continue the same exercise, making sure that it has a similar feel to it. Now, if you lose the feel that you had with the 3 fingers, just simply lift the other 2 fingers, the ring finger and the pinky again, to get that feel back, how it feels. And really, you're going to feel it mostly on the index finger and the thumb, and then replace them again and try to maintain that same feel. So the final goal is to do that pronation properly without having to lift any fingers off the pencil. We do want to keep all 4 fingers and the thumb on the pencil. Okay, next we're going to start developing the motions of the individual fingers, starting with the pinky push-ups on the pencil exercise. So this is a basic exercise for pinky form and flexibility, and is a precursor to future exercises that will help with pinky strength. So with this exercise, your number 1 focus is getting your form correct. And here's how you do the exercise. With your good bow hold, your pinky should have a slight curve to it. And we're going to straighten out this curve until the pinky is completely straight. And then the tip of the pencil will lift up like that. Curve the pinky again, and the tip of the pencil will flatten again. Comes back down. And again, you can double check all the rest of the fingers and make sure they're still in good place. And we're going to do that, repeat that exercise again. So I push down the pinky till it straightens, and the tip of the pencil lifts up, and then I curve it again, and it goes flat again. We just simply repeat that. Again, always make sure that the other fingers and the thumb are staying in good position as you're doing this, and always readjust them as needed. One thing I want to make clear about this exercise is that this is not the same thing as a supination. This is not the same thing as a supination. The supination would also lift up the tip of the pencil, but that's not what we want to do. We want to keep the forearm bones. They should remain in a normal prone position with the radius crossing over the ulna. So it's really important that you don't confuse this with the supination exercises. The pencil is being moved by the pinky only. The forearm stays still. Only the pinky. That's why it's called the pinky push-up. I've had some confusion with students in the past, so I wanted to make sure that's clear. So next we'll work on the motions of the index and ring fingers by going over the index and ring finger seesaw exercise. Again, this exercise is mostly about getting the form and the motions of the fingers. Like the pinky push-ups, we'll use this basic form later to develop the strength and control of the fingers. So take advantage of this time to really perfect your form. So we'll envision like a sideways seesaw. Let's imagine like a seesaw, but it's like sideways, and it's mounted, instead of on the ground, it's mounted up on a wall, okay? And so then the index fingers are going to be, the index and the ring fingers are going to be on each side of it. And then we'll simply move each finger back and forth on the seesaw. So it's back and forth around the thumb. The thumb's going to be like the middle of the seesaw, and the index and the ring fingers are going up and down. And they're not really going up and down. They're like, again, like I said, if that seesaw is mounted up on a wall, let me adjust my fingers here. You know, we're going side to side on that seesaw, sideways seesaw. And you might feel that the middle finger, if you notice here, middle finger and the pinky might want to lift slightly off the pencil while you do this. That's okay right now, as long as they don't lift too far off and mostly stay above their places like I'm doing. Okay, so that's that exercise that you'll see in the practice video. And then the last exercise today can be a fun yet challenging one, and that one is called crab crawl. So just a reminder, if you have questions, try to submit them in the chat before the end of this section so we can see them. Okay, so I've heard that this crab crawl exercise was used by Mozart's father, Leopold Mozart, in his teaching. So it's potentially an oldie but goodie. But here's how it goes. We'll go back to the actual bow hold here. And make sure first, again, that you have a good bow hold that we've been working on this whole time. We're going to hold that bow vertically like this. And so now, maintaining your bow form as much as possible, crawl your fingers so the bow slips down through them until your hand reaches the tip. So this is your, like the little crab is your hand now, and this is crawling like this. And we're going to let that bow slip through your fingers as you crawl. And so gravity is working with you. But remember, again, you want to maintain your bow form as much as possible. And I don't know if it'll be helpful. We can maybe try to see that from above. So you can kind of see the thumb too working along. So you can't really see that the bow is coming down into my hands. I'm getting closer to the tip here. But you can see how the thumb was kind of sliding and your fingers are crawling. I let it slip quite a bit there, but that's okay. It's okay. You can do it kind of slowly. You could do it a little quicker going down. The whole point is to keep accuracy in your bow hold, but also to be able to let some flexibility happen in your fingers. So here I'm at the tip, and that's the easier part of the exercise. The harder part is getting back to the frog. So we'll have the crab, my hand, crawl the opposite way while having to push the bow up towards the ceiling. So we're working against gravity on this one. And as you do this, make sure the fingers don't stray again too much outside the boundaries of a correct bow hold. So there I'm crawling with the fingers. Oh, the crab is working really hard. He's going like uphill instead of downhill here. So I'm getting through that bow. I'm in the middle of the bow. Still crawling. Maybe we could see it from the top, possibly. The tip of the bow is gonna, hopefully it doesn't hit the camera. Okay, keep going, almost there. Oh, hit the microphone. All right, almost there, and then back to the frog. All right, now a good test to see if you're getting some flexibility in your hand while, while still keeping that good bow hold is when that crab gets back to the frog, he should look exactly the same as when he started. And if you notice here, I have a nice, good bow hold. The thumb still bent, still across from the middle finger, and everything is still in its good place. All right. So that's it. That's it for today's training session. And we'll go back to John now and see if we have any questions from today's material.
All right, I was having just a little bit of technical difficulty there. I think I'm on here. Let me just check something before we.
Looks like
okay.
you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So today we have a few people online. I'll put the people up on screen there for you, Miguel.
Okay. Julian, hi. Thanks for joining us today.
And then we also have
Isha, hello. Hi. Thanks for giving a shout out there. Christine, hi from OC, Orange County. And Angelie, hi. How are you doing? And then Calvin in Livingston, New Jersey. All right. And Evelyn, hi. Hi, Evelyn, and hi, Calvin. And hi to everyone who's watching and in the replay too.
All right, so it's exciting to see everybody here. I was going to say, we don't have any questions right now, but what questions are always welcome all the time. We want to try to make sure that we do stay on task with. Do you
want to have them out there?
With what we're doing here. But later on, we'll be doing other streams that we can expand on different things. So if we do have questions, try to make sure they're like questions about what we're doing in the streams. All right. So I'll pass you back down to Miguel. All
right. Well, again, thank you all of you who have joined us today. We're really happy to see you here. And again, follow the links below if you'd like to book a private lesson with me or John. And if you find our content helpful, I'd like to remind you to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every time we release a new video, like and share with your friends. Join us next time as we continue the series on bowing. And don't forget to follow up daily with the Violin Bow Hold 10-minute practice video, which again will be available right after this stream ends on our YouTube channel. And don't forget, press play every day. Goodbye.